Hi everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. We're here for part 2 of my Henry lever actions. This is the newer one that not too long ago I posted a video where I was trying to sight this rifle in for this either Federal 50 grain 22 Magnum or this CCI 40 grain. I'm really trying to sight it in for the 50 grain, but I was going to shoot both out of it to see how it grouped. And when I started shooting it, unfortunately, my accuracy was all over the place, and worse than that, it was keyholing shot. When I went up to the target, you could see some bullets that hit sideways. They weren't flying straight. So I knew right away there was an issue with the rifle. I had put a Skinner sight on this rifle and the high-vis front sight. I talked a little bit more about that in the last video, but basically the Skinner is this peep sight here that I like quite a bit, and I wanted to sight it in with the high-vis front sight because I do like how the fiber optic in the front sight looks. I think it makes a good sight picture. It's nice and bright, and I like it more than the Henry sight that it came with. It's just sort of a just a blocky rectangle. Now, one of the mistakes I've made, and I've made this in the past, is that when I bought this rifle, I already knew I wanted to switch the sights out. I was familiar with the standard sights that Henry put on these lever actions. So when I got it, I went ahead and put the skin, originally I put the high-vis sights on them, but I didn't like the rear high-vis sight, and I talk about that in my other video. It's just kind of blocky, it's a little narrow, and I didn't like it. And I wanted to put a Skinner peep sight on it because I've had so much luck with Skinner peep sights with other rifles I've had. And so I went ahead and did that, and then it started keyholing and didn't shoot well. So the mistake I made, which I've made with other firearms, is I might buy a particular firearm already intending to upgrade it, whether it be a trigger, sights, whatever it is, and then after I do upgrade what I needed to do and I take it out to the range, there's a problem with the firearm. That has nothing to do with one of the upgrades, just, you know, the barrel's bad, the chamber's bad, there's something wrong with it altogether. And a lesson be learned, if you buy a firearm, even if you want to upgrade it, take it to the range first, make sure it's shooting well before you put all that time and effort putting all the bells and whistles that you want on it, because for most manufacturers, and I've had to do this with Rugers and Smith & Wessons and almost every major manufacturer, when you send the rifle or pistol back in, they want any aftermarket parts or adjustments you've made off of it. They want it as it is from the factory. So then I have to go back and pull everything off of it and send it in. I sent it to Henry after contacting them through email, stating the problems. Within a day, I got the shipping information and sticker, so I boxed it and sent it up to them. And they got it back to me, and I want to say it was under 2 weeks. It was over a week, but under 2 weeks. When I read it, they said that they replaced the barrel. So it's a brand new barrel, and they replaced the the bolt as well. So new barrel, new bolt. So I guess they did feel that there was some issue. I don't know if it was the chamber. I don't know if it was the crown of the barrel, but whatever was happening, it was not stabilizing the bullets that were coming out. So now we have this new one. Once again, I put the high-vis sight and the Skinner on it. I want to see how it's going to shoot. There's a real possibility that this combination's not going to work because I checked the Henry sight, and let me show this over here. And the Henry sight is taller than this high-vis front sight that I have right here, which means that at a distance, this is going to, since it's lower, I'm going to be shooting higher with it. And I expect that the Skinner peep sight as well rides higher than the standard semi buckhorn, or it's not really even much of a buckhorn that the Henrys come with, but it sits higher. So I think my main problem is going to be that I'm going to be hitting entirely too high with this rifle. I won't be able to lower the Skinner sight more than it already is, and if that's the case, then I won't be able to use this front sight. I'll have to switch it out. I have the original factory sight. I could put that back on, and I actually have a taller front sight I can put on there as well, but I want to shoot with it first because I am going to be trying to use this heavier 50 grain ammunition, which will drop faster, and maybe, just maybe, it'll be close enough on target at 50 yards that I can keep this sight combination. But let me check that out. I'm going to go ahead and load it up with some rounds of this 50 grain Federal small game 22 Magnum ammunition. I've got my target set up down there at 50 yards, and these are the first shots I've shot out of it, so hopefully I'll be on paper and I'll be able to adjust it, and if not, well, then we know that I may have to try a different sight combination. And I guess we're also checking to see to make sure that Henry did fix this firearm. I expect they did. Their customer service is always excellent, but that's another test that we're doing here today. Let me go ahead and get it all set up. Okay, so it's a little windy, but not enough to make a huge difference. I've got the target set up, I got the camera set up. Let's go ahead and fire our first round. Let me put my ears back on. There we go. I'm gonna shoot at the center target. There we go. And because I didn't say this before, we are shooting this Federal 50 grain because this is really what I'd like to sight it in for. So let's go see where we're hitting. And here we are at our target, and I only see 4 strikes here, so I'm hoping that's 2. I'm really hoping that's 2 strikes and not a keyhole. I'm almost certain it's 2 strikes because I don't see a 5th hit on here anywhere. If I had hit off the target, this is brand new cardboard that I put up, so I don't see any holes anywhere around here. So I'm pretty sure that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So not bad. It is hitting a little high, but not as high as I thought it would. Actually, it might be fine. I think I'm going to keep that sight for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drift it a little bit to the right, just a tad, because I've had these 2 strikes over here to the left. So let me do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drift it to the right a little bit, and then I'll shoot at this target here. Since if I'm still hitting high, I'll probably hit around here, and hopefully I won't be hitting off the target. But let me give the Skinner sight a couple of taps. I'm not terribly happy with this group, but the sun's going down. It's somewhat in my eyes, so it's not easy to see this target at this distance. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sticker down here with a brighter orange target that'll help me aim at it, and that may make a big difference. So let me do that as well, and then we'll set up the next shot. Okay, we got the little sticker on. I've drifted the sights a little bit, hopefully not too much. Let's go ahead and see where we're hitting. Okay, that's 5 shots. Let's go see where we hit. Well, and here we are at our target, and it does look like I'm probably going to have to replace that front sight. I really wanted to have the high vis on there, but unfortunately I'm hitting way too high with it. Let's see here. I mean, I've got my sight basically down here under this orange target, and I'm grouping up here. Not a great group, not a terrible group. I would have to probably come out and fire a few different types of ammunition through it to see which one it likes the most, but I'm really hoping to use this 40 grain. And I may end up scoping this rifle, but for now, let me go ahead and switch out the front sight. I did bring some tools with me and see if we can at least get it hitting on target before the end of this video. So wish me luck. Okay, so I've replaced the sight. I replaced the front sight with a Skinner front sight that's taller. Bought it with that white striping on it. I think you can see that there. I'm hoping that helps. Now, it's a significantly taller sight, so I may be hitting too low now. But that's not a problem because there's plenty of room to manipulate the Skinner sight and make it go up. Basically, elevate the point of impact. But let's see how we do. Let me get my ears on here. We got 5 rounds in. Oh, let me go turn on my camera downrange. And let's see where we are hitting. Oop, did I forget to load in 5? That's not a problem. Let's load in that last one. And that's 5. Let's go take a look. Okay, we may have actually caught a few of these with the target camera, so we're hitting really low. So yeah, that front tall side is much taller. So let me go ahead and adjust the skinner sight again. I'm going to elevate it a little more and once again drift it just slightly more to the right and see if we can get it on target. Okay, hopefully we have our sight adjusted. Let's go ahead and take our last 5 shots because the sun is going down. And that's 5. Let's go take a look. Well, ladies and gentlemen, seems like I'm still hitting way too low down here. I'm surprised. I really raised that rear sight quite a bit, but I guess the front sight is just way too tall. So I've got a few things I can do now. I can take off that sight. I can file that sight down. I can go ahead and put the original Henry sight back on and see where it's hitting there. But yeah, this isn't going as well as I thought it would. I had some really great luck with skinner sights with my Marlin 39A, but for some reason I'm just having issues on this Henry getting it dialed in. And I'm sure that's probably just me, and it maybe that doesn't like this 50 grain that much. That being said, I mean, this isn't a bad group. It's actually, let's see if I can get close here. I'm not sure which were the second set of rounds, but you know, the sun's going down. I'm still using my naked eye. This is pretty bright, so it's making it a little easier to see. But yeah, I mean, I screwed that rear side up a few times, and that didn't seem to raise my point of impact much. That's sort of strange. I really thought I would have gotten it at least lower here on paper. So I've got some decisions to make. What I'm going to do with the front sight. At least the barrel's doing well. Doesn't look like I'm getting any keyholing at this point, even though I'm not getting it on paper. The groups, although not excellent, are okay. This is the first ammunition I've tested out of this new barrel, so I just need to test a few different rounds out of it and see which one it likes the most. But you know, I may end up scoping this rifle. At this point, I may give up on the Skinner sight. But who knows? I need to sleep on it. I'm a little frustrated because I've been out here trying to get this thing sighted in, but that's how it goes sometimes on these shoots. I was hoping this was going to be a great video. I was going to get it dialed in and be able to praise the Skinner sights and the high-vis sights, but Today my sights and my eyes let me down. But hopefully my frustration was enjoyable for you to watch. And with any luck, the next video will be better. Here we are. It's the following day in the morning, late morning at this point. I decided I wanted to try a little bit more with the Henry. I've loaded up some more of this 22 Magnum 50 grain, the one I'm really trying to sight it in for. And what I ended up doing this time is I switched the front sight back to the standard sight that came with the Henry to see where I hit. Now, obviously, I've been adjusting the rear sight quite a bit, trying to get it first to the to adjust to the high-vis sight and then to that taller Skinner sight. So I was having so many issues with those, and it was getting dark last night, so part of it may have just been my eyesight. It's harder to shoot open sights when, you know, the sun's really going down and there isn't that much sunlight left. So I'm going to try it with the standard sight, see how I'm hitting, and see if I can get a better group. I'm still not certain at this point if I'm going to keep the Skinner rear sight. It may depend on how well I shoot this right now. I may end up putting a scope on this rifle as well. I do have an extra rimfire loophole scope that would go perfectly on here, It's just I was hoping to be able to hit well with iron sights, but this is a rifle I actually plan to do some, you know, light hunting with. And so I need to be able to hit well with it. And at my age, of my eyesight's just not letting me hit tight groups at 50 yards with this particular rifle, then it is what it is. I need to move on and go ahead and scope it. But before we do that, let's see how we do with the standard Skinner sight. Hopefully it's hitting somewhere on the target. One thing I will say is I really wish Henry would put brass bead on their front sights. I know that makes them a little more expensive, and I'm sure it was an issue with price, but it just something about lever actions. They really need to have that that brass bead on the front. Okay, that's 5 rounds. Let's go see how we did. And here we are at our target, and it looks like I'm closer to my point of aim. I had that front sight right below this red dot right here, so I'm hitting just above it. Windage seems to be about right. I may have drifted it a little too far to the right, so I may have to drift it back to the center. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the Skinner sight on. If you watched my Model 39A Marlin Skinner sight video, I was getting some really tight groups with that. Now, two differences here is sight radius on the Henry is much shorter, and the 22 Magnum sometimes doesn't group as well as 22 long rifle. And also, this is a new Henry, as I said earlier in the video, and I haven't tested a bunch of ammunition through this new barrel yet. It may just not like this 40 grain, I'm sorry, this 50 grain very much. But the only way I'll know for sure is by putting a scope on it and trying a few different types of ammunition through it to see which one it likes. I was trying to use the results I got from my father-in-law's Henry, well, once again, the Henry my father-in-law adopted from me, as far as which ammunitions it liked, thinking this one would be the same. I'm not sure that is the case. Once again, 22s and 22 Magnums tend to be very finicky, so I'm going to have to figure out which one this particular rifle likes and then sight it in for that. And because I do want it to be a hunting rifle, I just don't think the Skinner sight's going to work for me on this particular rifle. Sometime down the road, I will do another video with this Henry. I'll try some different 22 Magnum out of it to see which one it likes. And then I'll sight it in for that particular ammunition. I'm hoping when I put a scope on it, I'll be able to tighten up the groups with this 50 grain. But if it doesn't like the 50 grain and it prefers some other type of, whether it likes the 40 grain or maybe some Hornady, what is it, a 32 grain or 30 some grain, the VMAX, which shoots really well out of some of my rifles, then so be it. I'd rather be shooting that rifle with some ammunition that it likes versus getting larger groups trying to force an ammunition on the rifle that it's not particularly happy with. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry this particular video wasn't much of a success. It was a little bit frustrating, but that's how it is when you go shooting. Sometimes you have a great time and you're shooting great and all the ammunition's on target and you're having a wonderful time feeling like you're the best shot in the world, and other days you just can't get a group to save your life. So as always, thanks for watching. I hope you had a good time watching me be frustrated and I will see you in the next video.